most, I wanted to share something with you guys that nobody else has heard yet. Um, this week will be 1 year of PM Stream, okay? So we've been doing this for a year. And to celebrate, I wanted to give back and do a little discount. So my plan is right now to do 20% off for uh, the monthly sub or the yearly sub, and then 36.5% off for lifetime. So if you haven't been interested in joining PM, now would be like a great opportunity to do that, because I only like run sales twice a year, and I only plan on maybe running a Black Friday sale for the rest of the year. But if you would like to join now, take advantage of all the call outs that we had. I don't know if you guys saw last week, but we made like 5R last week. Usually we take between 2 to 4 setups a week. And yeah, it's usually a pretty good session. I like PM. I know, some of you may have mixed opinions about it, but if anyone in here has been a part of PM and would like to say your piece about it, I'll let the testimonial speak for themselves. I've helped multiple people get to payouts joining PM, and so if you guys would like to take advantage of that, I'll make a little announcement post after our little Q&A session here, detailing the sale. And yeah, I'd appreciate any feedback, or if you guys want to support me, then go to wap.com/nqreliable. As far as the Q&A session, let's get started with that. So yeah, we'll just start answering. You guys just got to throw some questions. Can you explain price limits for Top Step? I don't think I'm going to answer any prop firm questions. A lot of the prop firm questions that you guys have can just be answered if you go to their Q&A or Discord. Also, I don't really understand what you mean by price limit. Like, do you mean like the sizing you can trade? But anyway, what would you do if you consistently under risk? Okay, so if it's a psychological issue, which I imagine it is, you're asking, um, like, I guess what's the reason for under risking? Is it because you struggle to, like, I guess, pull out your risk tool and mark out, the proper sizing? Or is it like you just don't want to go in with a lot of size? Because if that's the case, that's totally fine. Like, if you want to risk less than the $200 amount, or whatever, sizing usually say is good, it's usually 10% of the drawdown, that's fine. Do, like, size to whatever your psychology allows you to. I always say, there's perfection, like following the model to the T, taking exactly every trade how you should be taking it. And then there's perfection to what your psychology allows. As a trader, you are going to change and you're going to grow, and your psychology is going to get better and better over time. But in order to get to that point, you have to create systems and build environments that allow your psychology to thrive and are constrained to your psychological limits, right? And so we want to be testing those limits. So if you're struggling right now with sizing, continue to size how you've been, but maybe every once in a while, kind of like progressive overload for lifting, where you add a little bit of weight every once in a while. Do the same with your sizing, right? If you feel comfortable trading your sizing, add a micro to your sizing, right? Increase your total risk, $25 or whatever, every once in a while, and just go from there. Okay. I heard a trader say you should be going into the day looking for excuses not to trade, essentially just looking for any tells that it will be a low probability day. What type of signs would you say we should be looking for? So yeah, a lot of low probability examples that like I usually follow are going to be anytime the indices are uncorrelated, no news, any of those like bad trading days, like pre NFP, which actually this last one was pretty good. But I have a whole list of examples here. In them. Okay, so here's are some days when to expect bad PA. We have Friday PM, OPEX, quad witching, session before a holiday, bank holiday, Wednesday PM session, Thursday before NFP, pre-news, pre-volatile earnings, no news, week of contract rollover. So I'll leave that up. Screenshot that. And then I have another screenshot here that kind of details also went how to tell if PA is bad. Okay. Here's how to tell PA is bad. Are there any good draws present? Unfilled liquidity, equal highs, data. If there aren't, then it's probably going to be bad PA. Are the indices correlated? On the 1 minute time frame, are the wicks of the candles greater than the bodies? Are we putting in 1 minute for value gaps? So overall, if price is low, has low volatility, that usually means that our model isn't going to perform well because we play off of a reversal model that's dependent on FEGs, and FEGs tend to print more often in volatile conditions. Okay. Over risk on the wrong trades? Okay, well, that sounds like picking the wrong trades, Josh. So I just have to work on creating a subjective system. For me, that's bias momentum time model. And as long as you follow that system of subjectivity, you're going to find ways to improve your trades. Right? Follow a checklist. We've talked about checklists before in this Discord all the time. Checklists really do help when taking trades. This is just my checklist. You can follow it or not. But yeah, build a checklist for subjectivity that helps you figure out if a position is good or not. If it meets your threshold. We talked about that too. So there will be trades that like maybe aren't picturesque, that aren't perfect, but they meet the threshold that would deem it to be like a good trade, right? So anytime we have like a trade that's targeting a data wick, you can usually lower your threshold of like how good the setup looks, as long as like we have that draw there. I've been wondering about it on certain setups such as the OSFL on Thursday. I didn't like the close, but I think now because the draw is good, I went into half size and then add, and either there's a significant gap is broken. Yeah, that's totally fine. You know, if you're not fully confident in a position because of the way that the model has printed, you can always start lighter and then add to it. What's the best and the fastest way to learn the strategy and your method of training? Okay, so essentially what you should do is you should evaluate as a trader these 5 characteristics, okay, on yourself. Okay, so you have analysis before the trade, the entry, analysis during the trade, the exit, and your psychology, okay? And once you've evaluated these things, okay, if you don't know anything, start at the top, okay, and go through each one of these things. If you are like somebody who's been in here for a while and you understand like your analysis before the trade, you understand like the entry model itself, but you're struggling with like where to or where to scale, where to whatever, then work on those things, right? But your goal should be to follow this list in order and then work on these things depending on which one's the weakest, okay? And then that's going to allow you to improve the fastest. If you're already somebody who understands analysis before the trade, why are you looking up like ICT's newest 2025 mentorship and trying to learn like all these new things and adding them to your tool belt? If you understand the analysis before the trade and you understand how to get a draw on liquidity, but your psychology is bad, right? Like focus on your psychology. Can you show how to use the risk tool? Yeah, I can just show you my settings, right? So what I do is we're on the mini chart. So I have the lot size at 0.1 to account for micros. And then I have $200 risk, okay? YouTube videos to watch. The YouTube video I'm gonna post today goes over smart money reversal. What indicators am I using? These ones. these three here, this one, this one. Ignore these two, I guess. Go to these. But yeah, I can post if you need anything specific. Why Wednesday PM session? Just before NFP. Just before that NFP. It's just what ICT has said. I don't really agree with it. I will usually trade the sessions before NFP. I'll be a little bit wary about that Thursday if we don't have any draws left. I struggle backtesting. Some months will be 5 to 10%. Others will be break even. Any tips? I mean, that's just normal. Vaccine. Not every single month is going to be a winning month, right? That's just trading. How do you manage profit? Do you take partials or break even? So I won't take profit until we're at least 1R away from the entry. Okay, meaning price has moved as much as the risk on the trade, and then I will scale at liquidity targets. Okay, and then I'll just scale at that final liquidity point. Usually when price completes the market maker model, or we hit some major draw. Where's the best place to learn your strategy, or daily setup / model as a paid member? Hang out in the streams. I feel like that's a really good place. If you just join PM or you're in the AM stream and you just ask questions, there will be a lot of people there to answer your questions. Gaining that experience through those streams usually will help. For session times, that's going to be TFO, so I can pull that up here. Sorry. This one here. Link. When backtesting, how deep should I dive into it? You should become comfortable with the entry model. What would you say are the best break-even points? Wicks or unfilled fair value gaps? They're both good. Usually highs inside of fair value gaps are the best. What's your drawdown risk management strategy? I usually just stay the course unless I get to like less than 40% of the remaining drawdown. So like for a 50K account, that would be like less than 1,000, and then I'll de-risk if it's a funded. If it's an eval, I'll just stay the course and I'll just keep trading. And then if I blow the account, I just buy a new one. I know where price is going most. So yeah, that just sounds like you have an entry, a problem with the entry, right? So step 2, so learn how to get better at taking better entries. Is it bad to add risk to setups that personally you think are going to go higher? You shouldn't. Well, some prop firms don't even let you DCA, so dollar cost average. That's when you add to your position when you're in drawdown. So I would just stick to your fixed risk. The only time I would ever add to a position that I think is going to go higher is if we get another setup that forms off of the original setup. So like, let's say we get this like inverse here, right, from 11, and then like I want to target up here, and then at like 130, I see this setup, right? But I'm already in the trade and I'm already in profit. This is the only time I'd ever add to the position. But the only time I would ever add to this position is if there's like, for example, a data wick or equal highs. Like I'm not going to add to this position if it's just like external liquidity. Like I want the market maker model to complete. Like I'm never going to add there. On the risk tool, since micros are 0.1 on the risk tool, what will minis be? Okay, so if you want to do it for minis, you would just keep it at 1. Okay, and then if you're somebody who's going to risk like I don't know, three minis per trade, like on a typical 10-point trade, then you could do like 650 risk, right? Okay, because like let's say you have an 100K account, you do that. So let's say I'm taking a trade with 10 points of risk. There you go, 3.5 minis you could trade there, right? The reason why I do 0.1 is because normally my sizing wouldn't work for minis, right? I'm only risking usually $200 per trade on a 50K account. Okay. How long did it take me to get my first earnings? It took me 4 months. You got some questions about Wasn't the setup invalid? Yeah, the setup was invalid. I think he took it because the data wig. What's my favorite color of cheese? I don't know. I don't know why this is like a popular question. Is this like a meme? Been hearing a lot about Apex recently. Well, I just requested a payout, so you might be hearing more bad if they do. How long did it take me to become profitable? I got my first five-figure payout in August of 23, and I started learning IFG in March. So it took me about 5 months, but I only count profitability as 6 months of. So realistically, it probably took me closer to 9 months. Yeah. So why is your idea of what a good trade looks like is out of whack? It sounds like. Um, it sounds like you're trying to focus on taking the perfect trade when what you need to be doing is focusing on the trade that meets the threshold for a good trade, right? Um, and so over time, you'll just learn what that looks like with screen time. Yeah, so Ian, I actually have a list of the hierarchy of draws that I use, okay? And this will tell you the best draws to the worst draws. If you look at that list, these are the best draws to the worst draws. Dodgy has a little bit different of a list. He puts LRLR above higher time frame unfilled liquidity, but the reason why I have LRLR here is just because I see this present more. When do you wait for gaps on a lower time frame to break? Like if price is a single 3 minute long, but there's still 2 minute above. It depends on the draw. Just depends on liquidity and conviction. So yeah, answered your question. And it depends on the momentum too. If there's really good momentum, that's when you know, right? Bias momentum time model. So like if we get bias momentum time, I don't have to wait for the other time frame. Yeah, so that probably has to do with order flow, Cytos. So if order flow is telling us that the draw is higher, right, because we just continue to respect bullish PD arrays, then we're going to ignore sell side. We'll do vert. Are we able to trade alpha on TradingView? I think so. I don't know if they have trade debate. Then yeah, is Dodgy my mentor? Yeah, he was my. Probably micros LSA because sometimes what'll happen is you'll get into these positions where you'll want to scale multiple times, but you won't be able to because you're in minis, right? When did I start trading? I started trading when I turned 18, but I didn't start trading futures until I was 21. All right, plus EV. It sounds like you need to create a checklist for subjectivity that you can follow. That's repeatable. I've never used them, Philip. What did I say last week? I mean, I really like Parmesan and I like white cheddar and whatever. So I guess white. I think I said last week mozzarella. Good. So yeah, we're gonna go with white. I mean, I don't know. Is that the right answer? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Actually, it depends on the draw. It depends on the momentum. So what I usually follow is if the momentum is bad, I'll wait for the confirmation of order flow. But I go through the 1 minute long at 10:20 after the Asia suite. Oh, this one? Yeah, this was trash. It was a good eval play if you wanted to take it, but we still hadn't even closed above the 30-second here. First inverse after a massive dump, right? So order flow never switched. Momentum here was fine, but yeah, I mean, whenever there's still like liquidity below, and price has been very bearish, you're kind of trading into other fair value gaps. Yeah, I mean, it's also not like that typical reversal time, right? So bias, momentum, time model. You basically just have like momentum, the model here. You don't have time or bias, so it's not a good funded setup. Do I think it's possible to trade the IPGs without the 2 minute? You want to have the 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. You pass Apex accounts in groups or trade them one by one in groups. Artist trading core. I don't know what that is. Oh, you just mean like in general? I don't know. How did you get your first 5-figure payout step by step? Well, if you really want to know the step by step process, in July of 23, I had a really good month. And then in August, I went down to Mexico with my family. And while on vacation there, I was waking up at 7 in the morning before all my family, trading the New York session. And I got the payout. So go on a vacation to Mexico and you'll get a payout. Can we do a backtesting session and we come up to the mic and give our thoughts? That would be cool. LRLR? Yeah, it's just trend line liquidity. If you get like 1 to 5 minute setup, but we are inside a 15-minute gap, would you fade it or still take it? I'd probably still take it depending on the moment. Macros in general and 10 a.m. Yeah, but 10 a.m. is like the reversal. That is when you'll see price do its thing. There was a 30-second inverse at 10:42 or so on Friday. Can you check that out? Yeah, sure. 10:42. This is not good. There's not even an inverse. Maybe you mean this one here. This is good either. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's another reason why 10:20 is not good. When we are expecting a high probability reversal, there needs to be a soup. We come down here and we hit Asia low, but we don't really soup it. We close below. So if we're expecting this 1 minute print a reversal, then we shouldn't have closed below this low. But even if you go to like the 2 minute here, it's, or not even the 2 minute, wow. I guess if you go to the 3 minute, it's kind of like a soup reaction, but there's no inverse on the 3 minute time frame. So you kind of want your time frames to correlate there. If there's like a soup reaction. But yeah, no, nothing about this was really telling me that price wanted to be bullish here. And the other thing is too, if you're expecting price to pull back to this 15-minute, right, and this is like your draw, we never formed it like at 10:20. So you're assuming that we'll pull back this 15-minute before the draw has formed. And then additionally, you're also targeting highs up here that swept out other highs. So like you're targeting like, well, I guess we took out the sell side, so it's no longer protected, but it's just not as good of a draw as it could be because we already took out buy side from earlier in the session. And this definitely looks like a Judas. So, a lot of things that you could avoid there, but yeah, so again, I have never used trade sync. Soup reactions mean the wick sweeps without a candle close. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's like the opposite of a break structure. What is the best setup you would take based on only mechanical factors? Wait for the extremity of the the range to be swept and take a nice confirmation setup off of like a smart money reversal, or like a V shape that appears on multiple time frames, the 2 5 minute, that kind of thing, off of sweeping external liquidity, or even just like OSFL. It just hasn't presented as much this year than last year. Yeah, exactly. Like same criteria as like the equal highs, data highs, even like LRLR maybe. But yeah, probably just the equal highs, data highs. Those really trump like anything wrong about a setup, to be honest. How do I copy trade? I just use the Tradeovate built-in trade copier. You can have stop loss and take profit on Tradeovate while copy trading. You just have to set the stops manually, limits manually. Can I show you an example of a soup? Sure. Here's an example of a soup on the 1 minute time frame. Come up, sweep the high, don't close above it. Here's an example of a soup on the 1 minute time frame. Come up, hit the high, don't close above it. Can I explain slash show trend line liquidity? Yeah, I'll just show you a screenshot. Here is textbook LRLR and it getting ran. This is what LRLR should look like every single time you're trying to take it. What are some of the emotional reaction plans you use when impatience, fear, and greed creep into your mind? Stick to the plan. Bias, momentum, time, model. What's the difference between soup and sweep? The same thing basically. Liquidity sweep, turtle soup, same idea. Liquidity sweep, technically you could have it close above like a high, but it's essentially the same. Is that not a rejection block? Probably. I don't know. I don't trade rejection blocks, but yeah, it seems like price came up to CE here and rejected, so rejection block. What time frame is the example on LRLR? Oh no, where'd it go? There we go. The 2 minute. But I mean, it would appear on the 5 minute as well. This is just what it should look like. You can extrapolate this out to the 1 hour time frame, the 5 minute. This is what good LRLR. You take like this setup here, for example, or a setup from up here before it comes back down. Do we pass accounts on CPI like half port? No. I just pass accounts normally, and depending on the prop firm that I use, I'll pass accounts like through the NFP passing strat or CPI. Why did this 5 minute long on Thursday fail? What do you mean? I don't see a 5 minute long there that failed. What 5 minute long there failed? They all work, it looks like. What's the difference between Judas Swing and Soup? Judas Swing is just the pattern that plays out at open the first 30 minutes, where we go against the intended trend of the day. And a Soup is just when price takes out liquidity without closing below it. That 5 minute long worked. Oh wait, we hit the low. I see. I see. Um, Probably because it's not very obvious, and we didn't sweep sell side before getting that long. We're not really delivering from anywhere. Maybe there's like a lower time frame 2 minute gap, but yeah, I don't know. It's just not as good of a setup as it could be because the gap isn't very obvious. Yeah, I do feel it. So those accounts I just don't trade together. How do I find daily bias? I so bias is a very simple equation. Bias just equals order flow plus draw on liquidity, okay? So as long as you're following, actually this can be simplified, but like, like jokes. These two things equal bias, okay? So what I do is I try to establish higher time frame order flow first by looking at the 1 hour, the 15-minute, the 4 hour time frame, and then I try and find a draw that aligns with that, and I will go all the way down to the 1 minute time frame to find that draw. So it can be like equal highs, LRLR, data wicks, internal liquidity, unfilled gaps, etc., etc. And that's how you find bias, and it should take you like 2 minutes every single day to figure it out. When are we doing a backtesting session? I don't know. The only thing that makes the setup invalidated, like mechanically, is when price hits the internal high of the setup. So, like, for example, let's find the IPG setup that one. There was a lot. Like on this 30-second short. Oh no, that was valid. I don't know. Basically, when price hits a internal high before we get the inverse. So okay, here's one. The price came down. We ran this 30-second low. We probably tapped into a 1 minute here. And then do you see how price doesn't close below, above on this 842 30-second? And then in the next candle at 843, we run up and we hit this high inside the gap. That makes the inverse invalid, this first one. Okay. I mean, obviously, other things that like aren't good for the model are just if you don't follow it, right? So if you're taking setups without liquidity sweeps, or if it's high in the range, right? Like in taking longs at premium or shorts and discount, all those kind of things. Make a bad setup. Can you send a list of when PA will probably be bad? Sure. There's the days, and then here's what to look for. When you think back, what month was the best for you ever? Dude, this last April was insane. This last April, I probably made more money than I've ever made in my entire life. Oh yeah. All right, guys. I think that's gonna be it for me. We've been live for about 30-ish minutes here. It was supposed to only be on for 20 minutes. I guess Dodgy might get mad. But one more time before everyone heads out here. I am going to be running a sale for PM this week. If you'd like to take part of that, it's going to be 20% off for the yearly subscription, which makes it $400 for a year of PM. I mean, that's like a great deal. You get 4 months free. And then 20% off for the monthly, so $40 if you want to try it out. And then it's going to start like literally after this. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to make an announcement post for it. And then this is the craziest deal I've ever done. This is the cheapest lifetime for PM has ever been. It's going to be $635, which is 36.5% off for 365 days of PM. So if you ever thought about buying lifetime for PM, this is literally the cheapest I've ever made it. It's never going to be this. Yeah, I thought I would do it as for celebrating 1 year. So I'll make an announcement post. Look out for that. And then yeah, I will catch you guys all on Monday, tomorrow. If you're watching football today, good luck to your team. I'll be rooting for the Lions.